Gonna be real smooth like Gary Coleman. Gonna be real.
All right, I'm here. I'm back for another episode for season 2, and we have one of our most infamous guests back with us, Coach
Back.
Terry, Playmaker Basketball. You want to say hello?
Hey, what's up?
All
Hey,
right.
glad to be back.
I think this was a great time to have you back on. We getting ready for the Playmaker Academy that's
Yeah,
coming up, and that
yeah,
typically signifies the end of the middle school basketball season,
yeah,
right? Kids are starting to transition to either off season, lots of training, lots of development, or running to play AAU.
right.
So, what do you think is the most that these players should be focusing on?
I think everybody's different. I think everybody has different things that they need to work on. One of the things that I've told the kids that I know are going to be in the gym with me a lot this off season is make a list of things that have been uncomfortable for you during games, whether that's going left, whether that's, you're shooting from a certain spot, whether it's coming off screens, setting screens. Give me an idea of what are those things that you feel uncomfortable doing so that when you come in the gym and we're working on things with purpose and we're working on addressing the things that you're not as confident in. I think that's a big thing. Also finding a AAU situation where you're going to be allowed to play in a role that helps give you longevity in your game. If you do have aspirations of playing at another level, maybe being able to get reps at that position, that even if you fail a little bit, that's going to give you some experience running that position and getting a little battle tested at that spot.
Okay. So I have a question with that because having the opportunity to be present with one of the middle schools this year with the girls team, do you feel like who's more open to stating what they're uncomfortable with, the young men or the young ladies?
I think it's both. I think the girls are a little bit more shy, so they get a little bit more, you know, difficult to deal with in those situations. But I think sometimes the guys think, they kind of got it and they don't need to really work on a lot of stuff sometimes. But it's just having to sit down and be honest and having people that are knowledgeable and are going to hold you accountable. And to make sure that, like you say, you can maximize your game and get better. One of my things is I tell kids is I'm fine with you playing a lot of games in the summer, but it's February. So if you can't dribble with your left hand and it's February, don't go play a bunch of games and come back in August and can't dribble with your left hand. If you can't
Absolutely.
pass with both hands now, don't come back this summer and still can't do that. If you know you need to work on your shooting, don't come back and still can't make shots. You know what I mean? So play your games, do that, but make time to work on those things that you know you have to work on to get better.
Okay. So how do you create that safe space where they feel comfortable or they're ready to say, okay, coach, this is what I want to work on?
Well, they know I'm gonna be honest. You know what I mean? Depending on how close I am, sometimes brutally honest. But you have to be because I don't want to mislead you and make you think that you're better than you are, or you got that and you really don't. And not only that, it has to look a certain way and pass a certain eye test. If you have aspiration to play on another level, people know what it looked like. That's on that next level. It's got to look a certain way. So we just want to make you aware of those things, and I can just give you the information and from just past experience with players that we've trained and that's been able to get better in the off season, and that's all we can do. We just play our part.
Okay. So, like we said, we have Playmaker Academy coming up. Are you
Right.
all set? You ready to go for that?
Yeah, man. This is our 10th year doing this Tennessee, Kentucky middle school all-star game, and it gets better every year. We've also had some of our former players and our alumni. We'll start posting them, send us videos,
Okay.
kind of congratulating the players. Some of the players that are still currently playing collegiately, whether it's basketball, football, softball, baseball, you name it. But it's just exciting time. It's just an opportunity to reward the young kids that have separated themselves, and give them one more middle school game to kind of showcase their game and kind of give everybody a sneak peek of what they're going to look like in high school.
Okay. That's big time. 10 years. How you feeling about that?
Yeah. So it's funny because this year, I know even on the girls' side, with alumni, we had over 4, maybe 5 girls that had 30-point games this year. Okay. And then on the boys' side, we just had some really big games just here recently with some alumni that played in the game, and a bunch of kids that made all conference and that type of thing. So, we've just been blessed to be able to pick the right kids and getting help from all the coaches in the Tennessee, Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky area that nominate these players, and then we get a chance to go out and watch them play and select the team.
Okay. So after they've had an opportunity to be involved in Playmaker Academy, do you get a lot of just reaching out, like as they're going through college or high school, college, like, Coach, okay, what can I do? This is what I'm dealing with.
Well, it's funny because a lot of the college kids, I'm able to pull up their games and watch a lot of their games. I'll look at their box scores. Mm-hmm. I can tell if a kid is struggling. If I watch a game, I can tell if they've been doing it. If they've been in the gym, I can tell if they've been doing their form shooting. And we may shoot them some words of advice. But the biggest thing is I try to tell them is especially after the All-Star game is whether you train with me or not, we family and I'm a resource. So whatever I can do to help you, whatever I can do to make if it's something I can do to help, whether it's from a training standpoint or, helping getting you a workout or, passing some video footage along to a coach or whatever we need to do, giving you some words of advice, being a mentor, whatever it is, we're family and we're going to do whatever we can to help.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so what is most crucial for a player to, I got 3 different parts, understand, apply, and acknowledge?
Give me that again.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll give you the first part first. Okay. What is most crucial for a player to understand?
As far as?
Just as being, developing, transitioning, anything. Being the best player that they can possibly be.
Yeah, just my biggest thing is I feel like you always have to have a mentor, mm-hmm. Someone that can, that's been where you want to go. You know what I mean? Somebody that has success in the level of where you want to go. People that have been around and developed players that have gone where you want to go, and kind of lean on them. And then you got to trust the process, and just trust and believe and just work. You know what I mean?
Okay. So what is most crucial for a player to apply?
You just got to apply what, we, even in our thing, we say you got to grow, play, and apply. You have to apply those things that you work on every day. You got to study. You got to watch game film. Especially as kids get older now, just playing games is enough. You got to study. You got to identify maybe a player, maybe in college that has your similar size and ability. Maybe watch some of their videos on YouTube or whatever. And then you got to try to get outside or go to the gym and work on those things and try to add those to your game going forward. So I think that's the biggest thing with that.
Okay. And to acknowledge, what's most crucial for a player to be able to acknowledge? Acknowledge
your weaknesses. You know what I mean? Acknowledge when you know it's something that you're not good at. Be honest with yourself, and get in the gym and work. A lot of people will tell you and boost you a little bit, but you know how I feel. You know if you're not there. You know if it's uncomfortable, and just do that. And then just as far as maybe this is off a little bit, but acknowledging those people that support you. Those people that rock with you. Those people that make sure you got a meal at night. Those people that make sure that, you getting to practice on time. Them people that's open, running their credit card to make sure
Right.
that you're getting it. So acknowledge them people, man, and just be grateful, for everything.
Okay. So, I've been checking in with you a lot lately,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so, but not just for my own personal
Right.
reasons, but just how right now, just the environment and probably just the temperature of what's going on within, the stands and
Yeah.
how parents are involved, how
Yeah.
they're reaching out, what they're doing, what they're not doing.
Right.
So what is your advice just to parents of athletes who really have a hunger for this game, but the parents might be creating barriers from them being successful?
I think when it comes to that, I don't think people love their kids, and so I don't think it's nothing intentional. Now, I just think parents need to do the same thing. I think when my kids were starting to come up and be recruited, I talked a lot to Kenya Gray's, Bashar's mom, because I was training Bashar at the time, but she would help me in that process as my kids were getting recruited, and I would ask her questions, and she would reel me in if I was, doing too much or whatever the case may be. So I kind of leaned on her a little bit with some things, and she kind of talked me through it. But again, even with parents, finding people, hey, tell me about this situation when your kid was getting recruited or when your kid was going through this situation, maybe, and they're not playing anymore. But I think still, man, just being able to talk to people and be able to just understand that this stuff is universal and it happens over and over again. It's probably somebody who's been through what you've been through.
Okay. So what about when parents are approaching you about, oh, my kid should be doing this or my kid should be recruiting? Like, how do you help them basically acknowledge and understand and apply the abilities of their own child?
We get that too. But I think the biggest thing is I'm pretty honest with the parent, and I tell them what to expect. We don't miss too much on that one, just because, like I said, we've been through that time and time again, and sometimes it's not what they want to hear. But sometimes it's the flip side. Sometimes I'm saying, hey, your kid is a little bit better than what you think. You know what I mean? And they got that ability. But just sitting down and having an honest conversation with them and giving them from A to Z that this is what they need to work on the court. This is what they need to work on off the court. And like I said, I could just give you that advice. We've been through it a little bit. And if you take that advice, we've had people to come back and say, thank you, we needed that, it helped us. We got some people said, man, I wish I had listened. So either way it go, like I say, man, we're always going to be a resource. We're always going to be able to help people. If you ask, we're going to tell you, and we're going to be honest. And hopefully you take it for what it's worth.
Okay. As you're going through and preparing for this off season, what is your biggest hope for, let's just say, this summer, these group of kids that you're working with? What is your biggest hope to basically instill on the communities that you work with?
The biggest thing is this off season is just really sitting them all down individually, going over, especially the older kids that maybe we got some film to cover, going over the things, we can look at numbers now. We can look at stats. We can say, this is what you shot it from the field. This is what you shot it from the three. This is what you shot it from the free throw line. This is how many turnovers you had. How are we going to address those things? We'll look at game film and show them where they made mistakes. We'll show them some good and bad, and we'll show them maybe some missed opportunities, some things that they could have done better. And then we'll take that to the court. And then, the goal is to go back better and more confident, and not making the same mistakes. We want to progress and grow. We don't want to be the same player that we were the year before. And we want people to be able to noticeably see changes in the growth in our game.
Okay. Have you ever found yourself like just kind of at a wall or a standstill where, you see the opportunities in a player, but for some reason it's just not transitioning over? How do you handle that?
We just try to figure out what that is, what's causing you from going to another level of, maybe sometimes that's a conversation between us and the parents, like, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Everybody that's in that kid's circle, we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and, that they're hearing the same thing over and over again from everybody. So that's tough, but, some kids is just, they going to turn it on when it's that time for them to turn it on. And sometimes them hearing it over and over again that they need to, it just slows down that process. Sometimes, you got to just get out their way, let them do the work, encourage them, pray for them. And just when it's their time, it's their time.
Okay. So, now the question where I got to.
Let's go. I'm with
All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to.
Okay.
So, as I stated before, I've been reaching out to you.
Right.
And I reach out to you for
Yeah.
a lot of different things, right? And so I personally have been struggling, like, just with the difficulty of wanting to protect my kids. Like, I'll say that's a weakness, but it's also a strength.
Yeah.
But when I see my own kids hurt or hurting, and all I could go by is the information that I have.
Right.
And I'm ready to respond. I'm
Absolutely.
ready to go. And, I had to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what's about to happen. You're
Right.
like, nah, don't do that. Which I'm very thankful for.
Right.
But I'll just say me personally or any parent, deal, or how would you guide myself and anyone else dealing with a situation in which they feel like, it might be too late for a certain individual, but how do you just help them handle what's happening to their child?
Right.
As far as playing any sport, really,
Right.
and still wanting to protect that child to have enough confidence in themselves to still try to be the best version or best athlete they can possibly be. I tried to.
No.
I
That's
tried to word
good.
that.
No, so I've dealt with it on a bunch of different things, from, maybe kids that I've trained that I'm really close to, or, my own children. I think anytime something has happened where things haven't gone their way, or I felt like we're on the borderline, maybe it's the biggest thing is that I've always had to do with me is, first of all, I got to fall back to my faith. You know what I mean? And we got to pray about it. We got to keep God first. And then we got to, all these things that we do and we read, or scriptures we quote, we got to start really buying into that and understanding those things are true. So, when we talk about, we're just going, things that get too heavy for us, we're going to give it to God, and we're just going to work. That's our thing, and let God do the rest. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's been kind of our motto. And so what I've been able to do is, or even with them, or even tell parents, is it's an opportunity to be there for the kid, let them kind of go through it a little bit, but at the same time, be there in the cut to kind of guide them through it. Why? Because say they're in college 2 or 3 years later, and they're going through something with a coach. We kind of dealt with it, and we've worked on it. You've kind of dealt with it, even though I've kind of helped. You've kind of dealt with it, and you know how to handle it. Or even bigger than that, what happens when you get the big job in corporate America and you don't get the promotion? So now we use the experience that we went through together in high school with maybe whatever the situation maybe is. Now we can apply those same principles to that going forward. Now that I'm a grandfather, I'm going, maybe some of the lessons that I went through with my kids that I didn't understand why, maybe we've made them better to be able to parent their kids later on. So sometimes if it's crazy and it looks like, hey, look, man, it can't be fixed, or, it's causing, physical harm to somebody, then we may look at removing or whatever we need to do. But otherwise, let's try to figure it out and push through and figure it out together, but just to prepare us for life later on.
Right. And so,
and that's hard. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Not. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's tough.
Even I'll say I've brought my youngest, we'll transition to him, my
Right.
youngest into you. And, you know, I was like, look, this man can't dribble.
Right.
But he shines in so many other areas.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I'm just sitting there like,
Right.
I don't think he should be playing. But everyone else is like, nah, like, we need him. He's
Right.
vocal. He does this. He does that. And I'm just like,
Right. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm already have created this, my own barrier to his ability. So when, let's say, it's time for him to play or he's involved in the games and then something happens, I'm already checked out because I'm like, he probably
Right.
shouldn't have been playing anyway.
Right.
So that
Right.
doesn't necessarily help him either.
Right.
And so how would you, like, what advice would you give me to kind of transition through that? Like, it's not that I don't believe him. I think he's
Right,
a great player.
no.
But it's like, if you were able to do this, that
Right.
other stuff probably wouldn't
No,
even, they would have overlooked it.
no,
Like, it wouldn't have been a problem.
It's funny because even with my kids, I listen to them. I listen to them and I get out the way. You know, I listen to them, I support them. And it's been times where I'm like, man, can we do that? And then, you know, they put their mind to it. If they're going to work and they're going to get in the gym and they're going to grind it out, then I'm supporting you full blown. So, yeah, man, sometimes we have to just get out of their way and let them go and just support them. It's tough. It's tough sometimes because you want to put them in a box sometimes because I think you want to protect them. You know what I mean? But no, man, these kids are a little stronger than we give them credit for. Thank God.
So how do you support a child who doesn't want you to show up for them? Does that make sense?
So,
Okay, so let's go back
yeah.
to
Right.
most of the
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
I've been
yeah,
contacting
yeah.
you about. So it's like, okay, hey, I know what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Right.
I need to show up. No, I got this. Not really, because I see what's happening to you.
Gotcha.
So I want to show up, but he doesn't want me to.
Right.
So how do I handle that?
I don't think they had no choice in that. You know, maybe I get in the cut, but you know, I don't know if you notice when I go watch my kids, when I used to go watch them play in high school, I'm gonna let them see me, and then I might be anywhere in the gym just for a couple reasons. I just like to be ducked off to myself. I don't like to listen to people talk about basketball, but at the same time with them, it's just I don't want them looking at me during the game. But as far as I'm gonna be there, you know what I mean? Like we're coming to support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So. I'm not gonna be in your face. I'm gonna be over here, like I say, ducked off somewhere in the corner or something. But that's not an option. You know what I mean? So we're gonna be there to support. We're gonna be there because I think at the end of the day, nobody's gonna love you or care about you more than me and your mom. You know what I mean? So because of that, I'm gonna make sure I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me your stance in regards to parents addressing trainers or coaches.
Addressing them.
Should it happen? Shouldn't it? Should it not happen? What do you think?
I mean, it just depends on how extreme the case is. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a time where you have to step in. Playing time, things like that, probably not. You have your opinion, you know what I mean? But when the kid's on the team, you kind of gotta, and it's not gonna change that coach's mind.
Right.
Right. So again, we tell kids, look, we're gonna work. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna work, and it's even biblical. It say all hard work brings a profit. You know what I'm saying? So we're just gonna work, man, and let God take care of the rest. And it's tough, but it's funny because I can tell you time and time again where I've seen kids in certain situations, and when they've worked and pushed through, at the end of the day, nothing stopped them from doing that. I mean, I can think about 10 examples right now. You know what I mean? And it's hard to go through it and deal with it. But at the end of the day, I think it becomes a mutual respect from that coach and the player when they see that kid's not going to quit and fight through. But in the back of their mind, those coaches know that, or whatever trainers, whatever, that strength comes from that kid. But also, they got people behind them supporting them too. So
Okay. As we're wrapping up,
yeah,
do you have any questions for me?
is this on?
Yeah, we're still it's still going. Questions on air that you want to ask for me?
Are you gonna edit this?
Yeah.
Let me think about that. What I got at? Did I have one?
I don't know. I didn't tell you to prepare one, so if you don't have one, it's cool.
Hold on. No.
Okay.
No, let me think of one.
Or you want to do this first? And
Yeah,
then
let's
see
do
if
that.
you-
Let's do that first.
Okay, you ready?
You gonna read it?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it. Okay.
Okay.
So, as you're thinking of a question for me, we'll go ahead and have my random questions. Just point to an envelope, and I'll read you the question.
Oh man.
I did not prepare you this time for these questions.
Let's go there.
Okay. The question is, how much better would your life be if you had a you in it?
Wow. Wow. Say that one more time.
How much better would your life be if you had a you in it?
I'm gonna be honest. It's hard to answer that question just because I feel like I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I do. I feel like just my wife and kids, to see the way they motivate me every day, to see my kids who have overcome so much adversity, and still be able to, have some success in their life, and so I do. So I don't. I can't say that they aren't. I mean, it's so much better. I'm just blessed to have them. So they are definitely people that motivate me every day. Anytime something rough happens and I second guess, I can look at each one of their stories, and I'm instantly motivated to keep going. I almost get mad at myself, like, man, you tripping, because they've been through it to a certain extent. Each one of them have a unique story with their lives and injuries and whatever, and they just overcome so much. So I think that's what pushes me and keep me going every day, to have people like them, have them in my life.
Man, you just made it hard for anybody else who gets that question. There's no way to top that answer.
I had to catch myself on that one. I was like, wow, that was the deep one.
Okay.
I picked that one. That was on purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything happens how it's supposed to.
Yeah, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Any questions for me?
Hold on, I got one. Let me think about it. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So my question for you is, kids are going to basketball trainers or football training, whatever sport they're doing, specialized training. They're going to strength and conditioning training. All right, they're doing that. They're going to play AAU, 707, whatever it is. In these days, right now, how important is it to add, whether it's a mental coach or add something that deals with either dealing with adversity or dealing with success? How important is it to add that with all those other things? Should that be a part of the process now with the way things are now?
I think would be very beneficial is to get these coaches and these trainers into some type of mental health check-in monthly, or just their own mental health training. And the reason why I say that is for you to actually be able to identify, is it just a mental block? Because if it's a mental block, it's really something the trainers or the coaches can kind of help.
Right.
Just by being able to ask the right questions and identify it. If it's something more in depth, then it's still being able to see the change in behavior or just change in their language, and kind of push them like, hey, I think you might need to go check in with someone. there's nothing wrong with it. We're here to fully support you, but I think this is something that I can't help you through. And letting them know, like having that safe space amongst the team or within the training session to let them know that it's okay and you support them, but you know it's something that you can't help with. Right. And so with training the coaches or the trainers to be more aware, to be able to see what you can't see, right, will help create that safe space and also create a more positive stigma with being aware and being more proactive about mental wellness instead of being reactive. Because let's say you see a kid coming in doing going through the motions, but now you notice that their behaviors are a little bit different, or you could just hear the language, the self-talk that they're having.
Absolutely.
You being aware of that and just kind of pulling them to the side. I'm like, hey, we were doing this, we were rocking and rolling for 3 weeks. What's going on? And sometimes that's all they need is someone to take the time to ask them, what's wrong? What's going on? Right. But as adults and individuals, sometimes we get so caught up in our mundane lives, right? Our hectic schedules that, like, man, they just ain't in it today. I ain't got time. We got to keep going. I got all these other sessions to go through. I don't have time for them lollygagging. Right. They might not be lollygagging. They might really be dealing with something. So just being able to identify that drastic shift in their behaviors, their self-talk, even their presentation of themselves, because they might still be showing up every day, killing the drills. But if you notice, okay, usually they come in a fresh white tee and some shorts, make sure, their shoes are laced up. Now they're dragging. They got wrinkled up, like just their overall presentation is changed, but they're still going through everything. Right. That's still something you should be aware of. Like, hey, that's not what you usually come in. You good? Right. And so if they laugh and joke like, oh yeah, I stayed the night over friends, but you're still aware of what their situation is and what's going on. And so just being trained on how to see something that you can't see.
Good. That's a great answer. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for another great conversation.
Man, I loved it. Enjoyed it, man.
This was good.
We'll be back.
All right. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real smooth like Gary Coleman.